finance ministry is the most important position that President Mahama is having sleepless nights about. Now, finance is so important. This afternoon, Mohamed Amin Anta, the outgoing finance minister, said boldly and confidently that the MPP was leaving the Ghanaian financial state in a good situation. 2-3 days ago, it was published that the economy is growing at 7 point something post-COVID, and that's significant. That's phenomenal. Well, as we always say, we don't feel it in our pocket, but the statistics are showing something. Hopefully, we'll feel it in our pocket soon. So, whoever comes into the finance ministry is critical in terms of the success of President Mahama's 4-year term. Now, that person would have to inherit an IMF program. The IMF program is on until December 2026. In that year, Ghana would have to make an argument that we're getting out of the IMF. But a very smart finance minister can have ways in which he can renegotiate the IMF program and exit earlier. It happened in 2017 with Ken Ofori-Atta, who exited the IMF program earlier than was anticipated when the NDC government inherited an IMF program from the NDC. Now, the president is going to make a choice. Who is he going to make the choice for? What appears to be very obvious is Ato Forson. Why is that obvious? Ato Forson is coming from a background as a minister of state, also a deputy minister of finance or a minister of state. I think he's a minister of state at the Ministry of Finance. That's Ato Forson. That's where he's coming from. He has a PhD in that from KNUST. He has been in the 2017, 18, 19. He was the ranking member for the finance committee. He was the leading NDC person on the finance committee, isn't it? So Ato Forson, he's been talking about finance and economy a lot. During the e-levy processes, he championed the agenda against the e-levy. Most of the taxes that government have introduced in the parliament, he's championed the narrative against it. So Ato Forson, has had a lot of information about the recent past financial dealings at the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning and the Bank of Ghana. So he comes across as the easiest and obvious choice, isn't it? He then became majority leader going into the election, and one of the reasons that was given for him to be majority leader, according to Johnson Asiedu Nketia, the chairman of the party, was that Ato Forson understands finance, and the problem that Ghanaians are confronting now is the problem of finance. Okay, so Forson appears to be the obvious, easy choice. But hold on. The choice of Ministry of Finance, and I have a personal experience with this, it's a choice of the president's personal relationship with somebody who understands finance, who can look after the finance for the president. Now, I learned this very early. I learned this lesson very early in my journalism and news reporting career in 2001. I was having a conversation in those days with a very senior MPP person. I'm not going to mention his name. I'm sure when I start the story, he will know. And I was telling him after the event of during the frenzy of the Kufuor victory of the second round of election 2000, I was asking him, those of us who were young at that time, 20-something, we were very excited by people who came from abroad and were speaking slangs, Kofi Wayo, Kofi Kunedu-Apreku, and were talking the politics against Rawlings and all that. We were very excited about those things. So Kofi Kunedu-Apreku excited all of us with his pungent analysis, sharp shooting, his sound bites. When you're a journalist in those days, Apreku will always give you a sound bite. He gave me an important sound bite in the 2000 election. It made me very famous in the Joy newsroom. When I put the microphone to him, he told me, and I was asking him about the budget. The budget had just been presented by Kwame Pepra sometime in March of 2000, the election year. And I asked Apreku that, he was a spokesperson on finance. I asked him that, what do you think about the budget? And he said, it's a lame duck budget from a lame duck government. I think if you Google it, it will come. And then quickly I published it, and it became a big thing for him. Next time he saw me, patted me on my shoulder and said, that was a good story, isn't it? So Kofi Kunedu-Apreku was there. Then I asked this important person that, will Kofi Kunedu-Apreku become finance minister? We spoke in Chi. He looked at me and said, Paul Adom-Otchere, what you are calling? What did he say? I looked at him confused. Nobody had asked me before. I must have been 26 or something. I told him my age. He laughed. I said, what you are calling? Now, J. Kufuor a winning presidency, Apreku a finance minister. And I was confused about what he was saying. I said, but why? Why not? He's a spokesperson. He said, no. Finance minister is not chosen like that. Finance minister is chosen by the president for somebody that he is his person. Proper person. That's how they choose finance minister. Tony Blair, Gordon Brown. You look at it, Kwame Nkrumah, Komla Gbedema. Buzia, J.H. Mensah. You look at it, Achampon, Don Kofojo. So people choose people to be finance minister who are their person, perhaps you can say about Rawlings, who really didn't quite do that. He just had Kwesi Botwe there. Kwesi Botwe was not his person. He didn't quite know him, but he allowed him to roll because other people were supervising Kwesi Botwe, etc., etc. But so from that day, I understood it. Then when Osafo Mafu became finance minister, in my news reporting, I observed the discomforts from the center relating to Osafo Mafu. When Banredu became, I observed the tenacity and how Banredu was held onto by the center, and the center held onto him. You could tell that this was a real romantic relationship between a president and his finance minister. We have not forgotten Akufo-Addo and Ken Ofori-Atta. So given that context, who here is the one that you will pick as John Dramani Mahame's person? Ato Forson, yes, to some extent. Andani here. Andani is the MD of Stanbic. We all know him very well. He's contributed a lot to the Ghanaian financial industry and institutions. Andani is great. Andani here, yes. But if you take up these three people, the person that is John Mahame's person is Nashiru. So what's going to happen? I don't know. But this is the choice that confronts the president right now. Is he going to go? If he doesn't go for Ato Forson, he would have let a lot of people down. There are a lot of interest standing behind Ato Forson. And these interests are typically interests that have manifestly supported the NDC in opposition. Some are businessmen, some are parliamentarians, some are party executives, some are regional executives. For all of these people, Ato Forson is their man. When you move the political analysis to the northern region, to Tamale, Nashiru will be the man. Now let me tell you something, and I know this. Most of the NDC events that was held in the northern region, northeast and all of that, Tamale and all of that, and the crowds appear, even some DM didn't attend. Most of it was organized by Nashiru. He paid for it, he organized it, he did the security, he did everything. Nashiru did most of the things that happened in Tamale for the NDC. And the results from the north is phenomenal. So you can credit that to Nashiru. You might not be able to credit a result from any part of the region to Ato Forson, but you know that Ato Forson held the parliament together for the NDC strongly. Even with times when he was struggling, he was still pushing. Andani is a great brain, and it's a stabilizing factor. If you put Andani as Minister of Finance, people are going to be calm about it. People are going to think that, oh, we have a finance minister that we can talk to. I guess the same goes for most of them, but more for Andani. Andani is a choice that corporate Ghana will applaud. Corporate Ghana will relax. Everyone is looking at the new president to see what decision he will make and to see what is animating his decisions. Now, if you put Andani there, you satisfy majority of the people, isn't it? So, what is the verdict? My gut feeling is that President Mahama is going to have a hard thinking between Nashiru and Ato Forson, and he's going to choose one of them. That's my gut feeling. I may be wrong, but on Thursday, I'll come back to you with more information.